Hey guys, welcome back to Hench and Saunters, and this is my review for the follow-up to Batman Begins with Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. I'll go through the plot of the movie. The opening scene depicts a gang stealing from a mob bank, and they actually murder each other until there's only one person left, and that of course is the Joker, played excellently by Heath Ledger. Along the way, we're introduced to Harvey Dent, who really wants to rid the city of organised crime once and for all. Bruce is very impressed with his conviction and actually considers him to be a suitable replacement so that he can lead a normal life with Rachel Dawes, this time played by Maggie Gyllenhaal. During a mob conference call, it's revealed that a corrupt Chinese accountant has fled to Hong Kong with the rest of the mobsters' money. The Joker interrupts this and wants to strike a deal with the mob. He says that he'll kill Batman for half of the collected money of this mob. Through various double crosses, the Joker actually manages to infiltrate the mob and take over several gangs. Meanwhile, Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, arrests the mob, and Batman goes to Hong Kong to bring Lau back to Gotham. In typical Joker fashion, he threatens to kill people if Batman doesn't reveal his identity. Bruce actually decides to reveal his identity, but before he can, Dent steps in. Dent is taken into protective custody, and the convoy is ambushed by the Joker and his men. The Joker is arrested and taken into custody. Meanwhile, Rachel and Harvey Dent are taken to two secure locations, escorted by policemen who are on the mob payroll. In an incredible interrogation scene between Batman and the Joker, it's revealed where the locations are, but Batman is tricked by the Joker and he ends up going to save Harvey Dent instead of Rachel. Rachel dies and Harvey is horribly disfigured. Learning of Rachel's death, Dent snaps, and manipulated by the Joker, he becomes Two-Face. Batman tracks down the Joker and takes him down, but the Joker gloats, saying that Harvey Dent's rampage, his killing spree, once that becomes public knowledge, all hope will be lost in Gotham City. So Batman takes the blame instead, preserving Harvey Dent's public image, and the police launch a manhunt to chase after Batman. That is a general bullet point of what happens in this movie. Many people feel that The Dark Knight improves on Batman Begins in every way possible, but I disagree. I do feel like this movie transcends other movies of the genre simply because this is more of a crime thriller than it is a comic book movie. And I love this movie. I'm going to say it a couple of times through this review, even if I get negative, I do love this movie. But I can't ignore the fact that this is not my Batman. This is not my Joker. This is not what I as a Batman fan want to see. The spirit of the characters is there, but there are many decisions made that I'm just not too keen on. I don't really like the fact that the Joker wears makeup instead of having the bleached complexion. You know, there's many theories online. Is he a soldier suffering from PTSD? Is that why he wears the war paint? Who knows? And I do love the fact that the Joker doesn't have a definitive origin in here. I feel like if Christopher Nolan and David Goyer had gone for more of a connected origin for the Joker and Batman, you know, in many different incarnations, for example the Tim Burton Batman movie, Batman is partly responsible for the Joker being who he is, and I think that that connection gives more motivation to the Joker. In this movie, there is no real motivation. The motivation is to upset the system, is to introduce a little anarchy. But for me, and many other people out there, I'm not alone, that's not enough of a motivation for a villain to do the things he does. And I get that not having a motivation is potentially scarier, but for me it just seems nonsensical. Christian Bale's Bat voice becomes more apparent in this movie, and sometimes there are moments where it is just plain ridiculous. I understand the fractured psyche, that's kind of what they're going for, you know, a grown man who dresses like a bat clearly isn't mentally sound, and I get that. But the voice, I just can't get on board with it. You know, you look at Batman v Superman that came out earlier this year, Ben Affleck uses a voice modulator, which makes more sense, it sounds awesome. You know, you look at Michael Keaton in the 1989 Batman movie, he just whispers, and that works, that's intimidating enough. Even in Batman Begins I didn't mind the Bat voice, but in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises even more, it just sounds stupid. I feel like Maggie Gyllenhaal was incredibly miscast in this movie. She plays Rachel completely differently to Katie Holmes did. And I'm not a huge fan of Katie Holmes either, but the fact that there's that inconsistency in this grounded reality, and it really is quite a jarring transition, especially if you're watching these movies back to back. Now, I don't think that Maggie Gyllenhaal's a bad actress by any means. She just doesn't play the character the same way Katie Holmes did, and it is like almost a different character. I'm also not a huge fan of the new suit. The Batman Begins suit was fine. I I was always kind of pissed off with the full black suits, but okay, Batman Begins, it worked. The Dark Knight, there's too many different sections, there's too many panels, it's too rigid, there's too many jagged edges. I didn't like that. The look it just doesn't work for me. That being said, the positives to this movie far outweigh the negatives. I will say though, so many fans hold this up like it's the Holy Grail, you know, they hold it up as the best comic book movie ever made, and again, I need to say, I love this movie. I think it's an incredible film, but comic book movie, no. It is not an accurate depiction of these characters from the source material, and Christopher Nolan has said a couple of times that he's not really a comic book guy, and you can tell. These movies, they're very well made, they're really well shot. You know, Wally Pfister's cinematography is sometimes breathtaking in this movie. You know, the use of practical effects over visual effects always wins in my book. You know, they flipped a fucking semi-truck in this movie for real, and it's awesome. But I still feel like there's too much of a separation between, you know, suspending your disbelief in terms of, you know, it's a comic book movie. There can still be comic book stuff in it. And in all three movies, there's never really a comic book kind of moment that makes me feel like I'm watching a superhero, you know? Again, I have to compare it to Batman v Superman, regardless of your feelings on that. That, for me, it's a flawed, but for me, perfect depiction of Batman. You know, physically, the way he moves, the way he looks, it's excellent. The way he sounds, the way he portrays, the way Ben Affleck portrays Bruce Wayne and Batman as completely separate entities works for me, and it works so much better than what we have in The Dark Knight. I have to say though, the music by Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard again is incredible. The opening track, Why So Serious, is the theme tune for the Joker, and it's very punk orientated, it's very anarchic, and it really works. And I've heard it live recently, I did say in my Hans Zimmer video. It's incredible, it really has such a great energy behind it, and it's the perfect theme tune for this version of the Joker. The performances in this film, apart from the aforementioned issues I have with Maggie Gyllenhaal, are great. However, I think one consistent issue I have with all three Christopher Nolan Batman movies is Christian Bale. He's just sort of there. For me, he never really carries these movies. I do think that he's far more interesting in The Dark Knight Rises than he is in these two movies, but he's just kind of on the sidelines. And for me, there's no real separation, again, between Batman and Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne is very sort of dull. There's not much to him. And his Batman as well, there's not much to him either. You know, he's just a guy in a suit. There's no real characterization there. And it sucks. And it's a thing that it's apparently become apparent with these movies, is that the heroes are overshadowed by their villains. The way these films are made, especially The Dark Knight, it's a crime thriller, it's Heat with Batman in there, you know, it's a Michael Mann movie, but just happens to have Batman in there. Then, to be honest, I could do without Batman being in there, because he's just overshadowed by everything else that's happening. I wouldn't be doing this review justice if I didn't mention the Joker. Now, Heath Ledger, of course, unanimously praised for his portrayal of this character, and it's excellent. This guy poured his heart and his soul into this film, and it cost him his life, essentially. It's a shame that he didn't live to see what a huge legacy he'd left behind in terms of comic book movies, you know. He set the bar for comic book villains, and, you know, it hasn't been surpassed yet in terms of performances. So again, I need to clarify, I love this movie, I really do. As a movie, it is incredible. I've watched it countless times as a movie. As a Batman fan, I think any self-respecting Batman fan would say this is not their Batman. And I'm not a purist in that sense. I'm not, you know, throwing my toys out of the pram, spitting my dummy out. But I do have a lot of issues with this movie because of its portrayal of the characters. But that doesn't change the fact that this movie is excellent. So, as I said in the previous video, I don't really give grades, but I would give this an A. Absolutely, it's just a flat, solid A. It is, again, a 9 out of 10. I do love this movie, don't get me wrong, but I do have issues with it, clearly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please click thumbs up. If you've got something to say, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Thank you.